man, winning and losing they're not that different at the end of the day. They're all lessons. It's all gonna fade. None of that's permanent. And nowadays, I don't ever hang my hat on past accomplishments.
Welcome to the Mountain Tough Podcast, brought to you by Sig Sauer. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Tough Podcast. I am Dustin Diefender, founder and CEO, and I'm so glad that you are here. It is our goal to bring you an inspiring guest every single week, every single episode that helps you add tools to your toolbox so that you can live the abundant life. You can live this always ready lifestyle. If you are a new or a loyal Mountain Tough Podcast listener, if you have a second and can leave us a ranking or review, those do mean the world to us, to the Mountain Tough team, and the rankings and reviews through the algorithm do allow these episodes to get out to more people to change more lives. Additionally, as a Mountain Tough Podcast listener, if you do not know so already, you guys do get 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. As a listener of the show, all you need to do is enter the code MOUNTAINPOD. That's MTNPOD, all caps. That'll get you 30 days of full free month, plus the 14-day free trial. You can do that at mountaintough.com, start free trial, and just use that code MOUNTAINPOD for your 6 weeks for free. Shifting gears over to today's guest. Today was a very special episode. I had the opportunity to spend several days with him leading up to this show, and then he swung by for Tough Fest here at the lab in the Bozeman HQ. On the show today, we have Bo Nickal. Many of you know Bo as he has climbed the ranks in the UFC community and put on some big shows there recently for sure. But the really fun thing about today's conversation is we hardly talk about his current fighting. We do dig into his history and his childhood, which is so inspiring. The way he was raised and his family unit is a very, very inspiring story. The amount of time he spent with his dad is absolutely incredible. But my favorite part of the conversation is Bo does really open up about his faith, and that is what we focus on today. So stand by for my conversation with Bo Nickal. Have you been out to Montana before?
I've been to Montana once. I was here last fall, and I love it out here, man. It's awesome. Actually, I lied. I've been here twice. I did a wrestling clinic as well, I think in Great Falls, maybe?
Yeah. There's some good wrestlers in Great Falls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think there's like a northern Montana college up there that kicks out good wrestlers.
Yeah, for sure. That's, I think, where I did the clinic, like at the university. It was like in the gym, so.
Yeah, I think that it's like Montana State Northern or something. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for the ARC Invitational, we just got done, so we've been out shooting a few days with Sig, which was incredible.
Yeah, crazy.
My team and your team were kind of fighting back and forth the full 2 days.
Yeah. No, it was fun. I felt like it was a good amount of competitiveness, right? Like it made it entertaining and exciting to the very end. Like I don't think anybody really knew who was going to win until it was announced. So that's always fun. No
one knew. Everyone's just sitting there waiting, and you could tell it could be anyone's game.
Yeah.
Which I think is a sign of a really well done event.
Right. Yeah. It was just well rounded, and like I felt like everybody had strengths and weaknesses, and those were kind of like highlighted in the course. Like nobody ran through it with ease, and nobody was like completely really like out of it. Everybody could kind of be competitive, which it was cool.
Which is pretty wild, and Patrick Hanley talked about that in the orientation talk. Mm-hmm. Where he said that at 100 games, Scotty Lago, a pro snowboarder, had taken a championship at, I think, 100 games #1.
Right.
And he has no shooting background, and he had a few other teammates who had never shot.
Right.
Which is pretty wild, and he said that was going to happen, and I saw it at 100 games too, because Bert Soren from Sorenex won, and he had a young YouTube star that started a fishing show. It's like Alabama Southern swamp fishing.
Yeah.
And I think he was like 19.
Okay.
And he has millions, hundreds of millions of YouTube subscribers
Right.
watching him fish the swamp.
Wow.
And he'd only like touched a BB gun. And then he had Hoist Gracie,
Wow.
and they ended up taking gold. And you saw that yesterday. It's like there's tier 1 operators, there's
Right.
a lot of special operators, but it's still anyone's ball game, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was cool. Definitely, like for me, I've not shot much at all. Like I've shot archery quite a bit, but rifle and pistol, like barely anything. And Tulsi was kind of the opposite. She, my teammate, she had shot a lot of rifle and pistol, but barely any archery. And us, along with Josh, like we had never met each other or anything. Like first time meeting each other was like day of competition. Like, all right, let's go.
He just like crawled into that same wall tent you were in. And
Yeah. Yeah, I was
time you
asleep
were
and I
in
was like, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. Yeah.
What was your team dynamic like out on the court? How were you guys positive communication?
Dude, honestly, I couldn't imagine like having a better team dynamic. It was really, really cool. And I think that they're just really cool people and good leaders. But I felt like the least experienced guy. So I kind of was just like, you guys tell me what to do. Like I'm in there. And Josh definitely like took the lead. But I felt like Tulsi was like, we all had different strengths and we kind of played to him. So like generally like rifle, long range, Josh was taking the lead. Tulsi was on pistol. And then Josh and I together were kind of doing the archery and trying to like, I think our team dynamic was honestly what helped us get to where we were, because we were just planning everything out, strategizing a lot. And I think that skills wise, there's other teams that definitely had more experience and stuff like that. But our team was really good with communication.
The teamwork is everything on those events. It's crazy because there's some highly skilled shooters out there.
Yeah, and definitely. And I think we were able to like kind of bounce ideas back and forth. Like I wasn't putting out that many ideas, but like Josh and Tulsi more so about like how to run each course and stuff and like what to do. And that was super helpful for me because I needed that. And I just basically like was like, hey, you guys tell me what to do. I'm going to try to execute the best I can. And then, you know, a lot of times they were running through first. And so I'd kind of get to see how they did it and then make my adjustments and stuff. But yeah, it was super fun. I would love to do it again. Yeah,
it was so fun. Did you grow up doing any hunting at all?
So my grandpa and dad hunted a lot. So I grew up, I moved around a bunch as a kid, but my dad's family's all from Wyoming.
Okay.
So they were hunting deer and hunting, you know, geese and ducks and stuff like that all the time. But when I got old enough to hunt, I was so into wrestling already. The seasons overlapped. And so I never did any hunting as a kid. The first time I started hunting was like maybe 3 years ago. So not that long ago. And, but it was always like something that I was around a little bit and something that I thought I would enjoy. And once I graduated college and had some more time on my hands, then I was like, I'm doing this. Like, let's go.
Yeah, it's pretty therapeutic. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted something, you know, because like I said, when I was in school, I'm going to class and doing all of that and then wrestling on top of that. So your whole day is pretty much booked up. And, you know, when I just started competing and I no longer had to take classes, you know, I found all this free time on my hands and I wanted to pursue something that I could basically like balance out with my career and with my competition, but that I was like almost as passionate about and almost as excited to do. But that was more of just like a thing that I do that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And but not just like leisure, right? Like I wanted something I really enjoy, but like I'm very into it and taking it seriously and putting time and effort. So that became hunting and specifically archery. Like I really enjoy archery. And so I've been really blessed and fortunate the past few years to have some good opportunities and meet amazing people. And I feel very embraced by the hunting community, which has been.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
You probably needed a creative outlet just with training so hard, something that you could still work very hard at, but without that insane pressure on top of it.
Yeah, I enjoy taking the skills that I've learned through wrestling and competing and translating them into other areas in my life, and I felt like I needed another pursuit to kind of balance that, because for me personally, like I can be very focused on a goal and a task, and sometimes I can overdo it where it's like it's too much. And I need some balance where, you know, I get more motivated to do my everyday training and things like that when I have another outlet that I'm also putting energy into. Like they balance each other out.
That's awesome. It's cool you went into hunting world as an archer too.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like the archery just kind of like spoke to me a little bit. Like I just was like, that's what I want to do. I think, I also got set up at like a really good archery shop in PA, Lancaster Archery Supply. Like a lot of people know them. So, you know, that's where I very first went to get set up, and, you know, got set up correctly right away, good habits. And so kind of building off that was very helpful. And now it's kind of funny because, like I said, I hadn't shot much before, but after doing the arc, I'm like, dude, I'm going to start shooting rifles and pistols and stuff, because I just really love it. Yeah,
the precision and the crossover too. We saw that with our teammate Brian Barney, who's just a machine with his bow. I mean, that guy is insane. But that same skill of like floating that red dot over your target, the slow squeeze, he was able, when we started, he hadn't shot a gun in about 10 years.
Wow.
He's just only been doing archery hunting. We were able to train with him one day, about 2 days before arc.
Wow.
But he picks it up so fast, and I think it's all those transferable skills where you're still doing you're breathing, you're getting your heart rate down, you're floating that red dot right over the target, slow trigger squeeze. The way he picked it up was cool.
Yeah, there's definitely so many transferable skills. And that's what I was saying, like with wrestling and fighting, the skills all transfer over, right? Like, you know, more so mentally than physically with that type of thing. But I think it's the same with archery versus, you know, rifles and pistols. It's, I think, mental and physical. There also is that physical transfer over, like you said.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second and talk to you about nutrition and supplementation. There are a plethora of options when it comes to supplements that can be kind of overwhelming, so I wanted to let you guys know what I do take. So in the mornings, I am taking the Mountain Ops greens and the collagen right when I wake up, and that has been a game changer. I don't eat a lot of vegetables throughout the day, so adding those greens in the morning is quick and efficient, and I can really feel the collagen. In addition, I do enhance my workouts. My Mountain Tough training sessions are quite difficult, and so I do like to take the Enduro. It gives you a cardio enhancement that you can actually feel, and then I also like a little caffeine with my workout, so I'm taking the Mountain Ops Ignite. Lastly, it's really important that you are getting enough protein and recovering after these difficult sessions. What I do know is even following a strict whole foods diet, I'm not getting nearly enough protein on most days unless I take a supplement. So I do take the Mountain Ops protein after my workout to make sure that I'm hitting about 1 gram per body weight for a functional athlete. So taking the Mountain Ops protein with some creatine after my workouts has been huge. Those are the products I am taking and that I recommend. The Mountain Ops team is giving Mountain Tough podcast show listeners an exclusive discount to their products. It is a great deal. So for a first-time purchase on mountainops.com, you do get 20% off. All you need to do is go to mountainops.com and then use the code MountainTough at checkout. That's MTNTOUGH, all caps, all one word. Apply that as your promo code at checkout, and you're going to get 20% off your first order. You've been listening to the Mountain Tough podcast. When you mentioned as a child you guys were moving around a lot, what was the reason behind that?
So it was really just like better opportunities for myself, and I have 3 younger sisters as well. So I was born in Colorado, and that's where my mom's family's all from. And then I moved to Wyoming when I was maybe like 5, and that's where my dad's family was from. And my dad was a wrestling coach and a teacher, and my mom was a teacher as well. And so it was really just, looking for better opportunity, like I said, for myself and my sisters and stuff. And then so we went Colorado, Wyoming. Then I lived in New Mexico for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the 8th grade through my senior year, I was in Texas. And after that, I graduated high school and went to Penn State. So I've been all over the place, but some pretty good hunting states.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And fortunately, I still have like pretty strong relationships with people in like all those different states and stuff. And it was interesting growing up, but I feel grateful that I was able to like experience a lot of different cultures and just see a lot of different things. And it's not easy as a kid moving. You have to restart and create a new friend group and build new relationships and stuff. But I was always very focused on my goals and on wrestling and things like that. So it was overall like something I'm really grateful for. And I feel like I can understand people a little bit better, having lived in different areas and, like I said, seen different things.
Did you guys have a really strong family dynamic?
Definitely, yeah. So like I said, my dad was a wrestling coach, so I spent every day with him, all the time. I would, if I was a kid, I would, be doing my youth practice. I would also start to do the high school practices, and then my dad would take the high school team to wrestling tournaments. I would go with him. He'd come with me to a wrestling tournament. Like, we were together a lot. And then my mom and sisters a lot of times would get drug along to the wrestling and stuff. So a lot of stuff revolved around wrestling, but we definitely had a close family dynamic. Eating dinner together every night, going to church together every Sunday, and spent a lot of time together. One of the hardest things for me when I moved to Pennsylvania from Texas was being away from my family.
Yeah,
I think it was good for me as like a young man to figure myself out and start making decisions on my own. But now I'm trying to get all my family to move to Pennsylvania. So got my parents and my youngest sister.
Nice.
And then I have 2 more sisters that I'm going to try to get to move out there, and so we can all be close. That'd be a dream.
So you guys are tight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's something that, to me, like the most important things in my life over my career or anything, are my faith and my family. And I think, again, moving, I was so goal oriented coming into college that I was just only focused on what I needed to do in competing. And I think, like I said, that was a good thing, but it also taught me, like, I learned a lot of lessons through that about what I really value and what's the most important things to me. And it's not winning, I think that it's easy in this world to get caught up in that and success and stuff. But for me, the most important things to me are my faith and my family. And that doesn't mean I can't compete hard and I can't pursue my goals with like everything I have, but I know the priorities, and they're very, like strongly like placed.
Which is going to be big for you now with like the big paydays that can come out of the UFC. Just the odds of being seduced down that wrong path are high for you now.
Absolutely. So that's something that I've been very cognizant of and thought a lot about. I think that had I been in this position younger, less experienced, as a 21, 22, 23-year-old kid, the way a lot of like NFL football players are, NBA basketball players, like I can't imagine having to deal with that. But now I'm 28, I've been married almost 4 years. I have a 5-month-old baby, and I've been really blessed to just have amazing, grounded, faithful people around me that has really kind of shaped me and molded me. And again, back to my values and what I really feel is important in life. That's something that I feel really grateful for, to kind of be in the position I am now with the experience that I have. Not that I'm insanely experienced, but I do feel like I have enough life behind me that I have been able to really solidify what is important to me.
Yeah, that would have been much more difficult at 19 years old.
Yeah, like honestly, the guys that, again, like compete and get that young, I don't really envy them at all. Like, I'm like, man, there's so many more struggles that come with that, and it's just not a easy position to be in. mean, your brain's not even fully developed. It's
Yeah.
like, how are you going to make good decisions? But yeah, for me, I think at this point in my career, I feel like a lot of things are coming together and aligning, and yeah, all on the up and up.
Do you ever think how insane it is from a spiritual perspective, like the platform you have now to just let people know about the Lord? Like that megaphone that you have now is insane.
Absolutely. You know, it's a massive blessing, and I feel like it's just such a good opportunity to share positivity and share, you know, as you mentioned, like who Jesus is in that message. And for me, it's I don't necessarily feel called to like preach the word. Like, I love studying the Bible, studying scripture, going to church. But I think that the example of like how I live my life, how I treat people, and the way I interact with people is something that is a really big opportunity. And I think people can like, hopefully, right, like if Lord willing, that he would shine through me in those opportunities, right? And maybe because people know me as a fighter and they know me as a wrestler, but again, like when I get to have longer conversations or something like that, the most important thing to me again is my faith. And, you know, at the end of the day, I know, you know, Christ died on the cross like for me to like save me from death. And there's nothing that could be more important than that. And having faith and believing that. And then after that, it's, you know, being a good husband to my wife and being a good father to my son, and you know, the everything else comes secondary. And I think that the platform that I have has blessed me with the opportunity to like share that message.
Yeah.
Right. Because everybody, again, oh my gosh, he won this, he won that, he's a good fighter, this, that. It's like that stuff's cool. It's not a bad thing, but I would hope that if people got to know me, that they would be like, wow, that stuff's not even important to him relative to this other to his faith. Like maybe I, you know, can dive deeper into my faith and find out what that means to me. So I think that's kind of my attitude towards it.
Have you experienced any kickback at all?
Really none, you know. I think that for me, the only thing that I notice is, and I think this is more personal to me, that because it bothers me, is that I want everyone who's like American and Christian to be like on the same team and supportive of each other.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily feel that entirely. But I think that that's something that is out of my control. And at the end of the day, it's like I can only do what I can do. And so I try to hold myself back from focusing on that.
Yeah.
But on the other end of the coin, like I want to support more people on that same wavelength, right? Like I just, you know, if I want that support, I think I want to give, I'll put it out into the world before it comes back to me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love meeting people and talking with people who are on that same wavelength, and I know that their faith is the most important thing in their life, and who are just grounded in that. And just, you know, seeing that type of person, like I just want them to succeed, and I want to support however I can.
Yeah. And
but that's really the only pushback that I've noticed, because at the end of the day, all the other pushback that comes, whether it's, you know, worldly pushback or, you know, spiritual, it's like God will handle that. Like I know that's not my job to handle that, and all that will be handled. And I feel like bring it on, because I know my God's bigger than all of that, and I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. I've used a ton of Bluetooth speakers over the years, and they all have never quite had enough output for me to really have an awesome home gym workout on a Bluetooth speaker. But the Turtle Box is in a whole new ball game. They have leveled up this product, so the bass and the output you get out of a Turtle Box is quite amazing. It's funny how we started using them at the lab. We had an awesome sound system at our new lab here in Bozeman. We were using it so much, we actually blew our brand new system out. We went right to the turtle boxes. And so we paired two together in the lab. And that was a lot of output for the Mountain Tough team and all of our testing to have phenomenal sound in our gym for a great workout with great music. We know there's a ton of Mountain Toughers training in their basements, in their garages, and I know a lot of you are looking for great sound to play some music in the background to your MGDs. This is a great product for you to check out. Turtle Box is at a whole new level. The bass and the volume you can get out of that box. It's a sweet product. You guys can check them out at turtleboxaudio.com. Use promo code TOUGH for a free TurtleBox hat with the purchase of a Gen 2 speaker. The hat must be added to your cart before entering the promo code TOUGH, TOUGH. You've been listening to the Mountain Tough Podcast. Because there are a plethora of issues that we could all debate about from like theological nuances.
Right.
But there's so many opportunities to do good, and even how just we interact with people, that there are so many things we can be doing to leave a positive impact on this world, that we should not be fighting over these tiny little details.
I couldn't agree more. And the lessons, I was able to learn a lot of lessons because, so I grew up in a Baptist church, and then I started going to a non-denominational church as like a teenager. And those were all just like my family decisions. And part of it was like moving and going to different places. And I maybe had gone to like a Catholic mass like once or twice as a kid, but not much. Like, so I hadn't really been exposed to a lot. And everything that I had done pretty much up until maybe 17, 18 was family oriented. It was like, we go to church as a family. We do this thing. It's like a family thing. And then when I got a little older, it was like, oh, like, I can make a conscious decision, like what I want to do and who I want to follow and what's important to me. And so I was baptized at 17, my senior year of high school. And that's when I made that decision I wanted a personal relationship with God, and which was the best decision that I've ever made to this day. And it's really what carried me through college and to now, and what's, I think, helped me the most out of anything. But what was cool is my roommate in college, he is Greek Orthodox, and his father was a priest, and he was one of 7, and so he was similar, like close family dynamic, but coming from a different denomination. And he's like probably the guy that I respect most, like whose faith is the strongest to me, because even when we were 18 years old, like he did not miss Sunday's church service. He did not miss Wednesday night. Like he was there. Yeah. And I was kind of, and like we didn't go together because I was going to a non-denominational church, but just being around each other, seeing that, it was like so cool. And then as we got older, I was like, what's up with this like Orthodox service? Like, let me see what's going on in here. And they do things so differently, right? Like it's same God, same, Christ, but everything is so different. And, the non-denominational church, we're talking a lot about love, and, the service is basically an hour of a homily, where their homily is like 10 minutes, and they're doing way more like prayer, and it's so much more regimented and disciplined. And at first I'm like, this is weird. Like, what's going on here? But it just made me appreciate everything so much, and everything about Christianity from the opposite of like a legalistic perspective, because it's so easy to say like, oh, this person does this and that's wrong, and this person does this and that's wrong. And it's like, who am I to judge like how somebody else worships and their personal relationship with God? And like now I love going to Orthodox services just because I think it balances out the loving like image of Christ and his sacrifice and what he's done for us, with also the weight of that and the discipline and the reverence that we should feel towards God. And I think that, they're not opposed. They're aligned, and they help each other. Like we go every year for Orthodox Easter back to New Jersey, where he's from, and they do a service from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Dang. And like, that type of stuff is so valuable for your faith. And I think that if you just get locked into like, this is my denomination, I'm Baptist or Protestant or Methodist or whatever it is, like, this is how we do things, everybody else is doing it wrong. It's like you're missing so much of what I think Christianity can bring to your life. And so now I definitely feel like super interested in the denominations, but more so seeing the positives, right? Like people see, oh, you do this and that's wrong. It's like, why look at that? Why think of it that way when there's so much that they bring to the table that's good that you can add to your faith and make it stronger?
For sure. Yeah, and I think everyone gets close to the Lord in different ways based on our unique personalities. I see that all the time, like with my family. My wife can get definitely like really close to the Lord and hear from the Lord like through worship music, where I'm much more intrigued by like the prayer and the message, and it's just different ways to speak to people, and you don't want to cut any of those out because we're all different and we all can, sharpen those skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think God's gonna reach people on His timing and in His ways, and to put limitations on that is just that's the only thing I think I don't agree with is like, don't limit what God can do, right? Like don't think about it. I mean, that's when you read any of the New Testament and see Jesus' life, how much of that is spent with Him interacting with the Pharisees and them telling Him, oh, you can't heal on the Sabbath, and you can't do this and can't do that. It's like, that's God and man all in one. Like who are you to tell what He can and can't do? And at the same time, it's like, I think there's definitely right and wrong, but at the end of the day, it's like, live as closely to the way that Christ lived and like read His word and try to absorb that. And, he a great example, like, what are we doing today? Like, He didn't come here to be served, but to serve others. And I just think that's what it's about, man. It's not about telling people that they're wrong here and there. I think there's a place for that when you're close with somebody and you see them maybe falling off track. But I think as a general consensus, if I walk up to somebody on the street and say, you're a sinner, you're going to hell, brother, and he's going to be like, screw you, dude. Like, what? And I think that's what we do. That's like we do that in little like microcosms, like a lot. Yeah.
Which just divides us.
Yeah. And again, that's like something that I've noticed. I think that it's not about everybody being perfect or this and that as far as like Christians go, but I want to see more Christians support other Christians and really be on, like, we're on the same team, man. Like we're teammates. Like we're brothers in Christ. Like, let's do it. And, I think hopefully it'll continue to move that direction where people support each other more.
For sure. Going back to your childhood again, just to circle back, how many years was your dad your actual coach?
So my dad coached me when I started at 5 years old until I graduated high school at 18.
Dang.
So he was in my corner. There was maybe a couple matches that he missed in that time, which
that's insane.
Yeah, I don't even know how he made them all while teaching and coaching at this high school level at the same time. But we spent a lot of time together. And I think that what was really cool about our relationship is that he wanted it a lot, but he never wanted it more than me. And you see that with dads with their kids, living through them and stuff. So he pushed me and he was hard on me, but there was never really a time or a situation where I felt like I was doing it for him. Like I was always doing it because I wanted to do it and I loved it. And he was supporting me and doing everything to the best of his ability to help me get what I wanted. And he's just such a good example of what a father should be to me that I just feel really grateful that I was blessed, with that. And we're still super, super close.
That's pretty incredible because that is like this fine, delicate, weird dichotomy of pushing your kids hard, but not so hard that the pressure's unbearable.
Right.
And are pushing them down something that they're not passionate about themselves.
Yeah. I think the key was that I was passionate about it and I loved it. And that was the foundation. And that, he definitely pushed me. And there was definitely times that were stressful and frustrating for me, and times where I felt like, oh, he's being really hard on me or this and that. But I can look back on it now and feel like it was all out of love.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't ever trying to, like, my dad's just a very selfless person, always serving. And he did that with his high school teams. Like, there's still so many guys that he coached 20 years ago that talk to him about how he changed their life and stay in touch with them. And, you know, for me, it's tenfold because he was with me so much more.
Time.
Exactly. And yeah, so I feel like just really grateful to have that example.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain Tough is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated. Mountain Tough ethos is backed by, we've always wanted to be the best in the world at helping our customers become more mentally tough. So inside the Mountain Tough app, you're not only going to find all of our physical training programs, but you're going to find additional training as well so that you can stay sharp physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. The Mountain Tough app also allows you to train no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. Additionally, the Mountain Tough app is going to have programs from beginners all the way up to elite athletes. And all of our programming is structured in a way that you can start with no gear at body weight, and you can go all the way up to programming that is full gear. So you can do that in a robust home gym or your local gym. There's no excuse for you not to start today. With Mountain Tough, you can conquer your goals with the ideal program for your lifestyle and schedule. Train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. Most importantly, Mountain Tough will help you train your mindset so you are always ready for anything life throws your way. Mountain Tough is offering the Mountain Tough podcast listeners an incredible offer. 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. All you need to do is use the code MTNPOD to redeem your 6 weeks of training. That'll be a 14-day free trial plus a whole additional 4 weeks of training. Just go to mountaintough.com and enter code MTNPOD for your 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical and mental training app. You've been listening to the Mountain Tough podcast. Going back to like your wrestling career, what do you think are some of the key traits, characteristics that like helped you get to the top?
You know, it's interesting because I think it's different things at different stages. Like as a kid, I was just very motivated and very hungry, and that stayed with me through my whole career and still to this day. But I just knew what I wanted very young. Like when I was 7 or 8 years old, I was like, I want to be a high school state champion, NCAA champion, Olympic gold medalist. Like that's what I want. And so it didn't matter what else was going around because I'd made that decision that I'm gonna do what I need to do to get that really young. And most people, like you're a 7 or 8 year old kid, you're thinking about, I don't even know. Like
most people don't have that. Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't care about going to a birthday party. I don't care about, you know, doing this or that. Like I want to wrestle. Like when I'm at home, I'm watching wrestling videos and I'm studying it. I'm trying to get better. And I just loved it. And so that really carried me through high school. And I was fortunate, again, to have just amazing people around me. And that's something that as a kid was just a blessing. Like I couldn't have really changed anything about that. So I think God just put me in that position for a reason.
You don't feel like you missed out on a childhood?
No, not at all. I mean, well, I'll say this. I do feel like I missed out on a childhood, but I don't see that as a bad thing. I feel like I'm not mad that I missed birthday parties or missed this or that or whatever and was wrestling just because I was doing what I loved. And most people probably won't get that. Like they probably won't maybe understand that because they didn't feel that. But it's just when you feel that calling and that passion at a young age, like I just felt it. Most people are just trying to figure themselves out. And I just knew already, which was, again, another blessing from God. It was like, this is what I want to do. And so I do feel like I missed out on things, but we all miss out on things.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like if you
can't be everywhere.
You choose one thing, you're saying yes to one, you're saying no to another. And so I said yes to what I wanted, which and I feel grateful for that. But I will say that as I got older, I put a lot more pressure on myself in regards to winning and losing than what I feel like is necessary and what I tell people now to focus on. Like early high school through my early college years, it was winning and losing. That's it. It was, I'm either a winner or a loser, and all that matters is this match. And so I had to go through the highest highs of winning and the lowest lows of defeat to kind of experience that in life. And I think God was just showing me that winning and losing is not the end all be all, and it's not the most important thing. And it really brought me back to the love of the game, really, and the pursuit and improvement and getting better in the lessons that I'm learning. And winning and losing is just kind of a byproduct. Like I definitely want to win. I'm definitely incredibly competitive and super motivated. But I do what I do now because I love it. I think God's calling me to that, and He's gifted me with a lot of ability and skill and people in my life to be able to pursue that at a high level. But I don't do what I do to win. I don't do it for, the success. It's just that's kind of a byproduct, and I genuinely love it.
Did you go through any seasons where you were struggling with like mental collapses, where your mind was defeating you more than your physical strength?
Definitely. So I'll tell you a story. So the biggest kind of mental collapse or just defeat that I think I brought on myself was my freshman year of college. And I made it all the way to the NCAA tournament, number one guy in the country, and I make it to the finals. And the whole tournament, I was just like putting a lot of pressure on myself, like that I had to win and this and that, and trying to like mentally almost like game it and stuff like that to get myself to the goal that I wanted to reach. And I competed against a guy that I had beat probably 5 times before that, like not really a guy never beat me, and he beat me in that match, and it was so devastating for me. And I remember before the match, like just basically making excuses for why I should win. It was like, all right, well, I train harder than this guy. I have better coaches than this guy. I have better training partners. I'm more disciplined. Like, and I'm saying these things to try to instill, like, build confidence in my mind. When at the end of the day, it was just more so of an excuse of why I should win versus the guy who wins is just the guy that scores more points. That's all it comes down to. It comes down to knowing your task, knowing what you need to do to execute, and then making it happen. That's the guy that wins the match. It's not the people talk about, oh, is it the guy that's skilled? Is it the guy that is experienced? Is it's the guy with the most heart? No. It's just the guy that scores more points. Like if you have a football game, the team that scores 30 points beats the team that scores 20 points. Like that's just the way. That's the sport.
Yeah.
And so that was a good lesson for me to learn. And obviously it was extremely devastating to lose. I was for sure depressed for 3 or 4 months after that. And I didn't know what to do. And so all I did was, all right, I didn't reach that goal. What's like the next best thing I can do? And I was like, all right, I'm going to go up a weight class and I'm going to win the nationals this next year. I still got 3 years of school left. And so went all in on that and just kind of suppressed that emotion from the defeat before. And I was like, I'm just focused on this next goal. And so I start killing it. I'm doing really well, visualizing, and I'm in a good place mentally, and I'm excited to compete. I'm loving it. I get to the NCAA finals again, and I win this time. And I not only won, but I beat the pound-for-pound number one guy in the country who is on like a 70-match win streak. And I just like, it was amazing. It was like the best feeling. It was like, nice, like I accomplished this goal, and I kind of righted the wrong of the year prior, and now everything's right in the world. And it was so funny because then the next day I was like, I still feel pretty good. And then a week passed by and I was like, man, it's gone. Like whatever, like what's next?
It's just gone.
And what that taught me really, the first lesson was a lesson in like trying to focus on winning and losing, and also mentally like realizing that I just need to execute. And then the next lesson was, man, winning and losing they're not that different at the end of the day. They're all lessons. It's all going to fade. None of that's permanent. And nowadays, I don't ever hang my hat on past accomplishments. That like it literally, like, it's so weird to say, but it means nothing to me. What means something to me is the lessons that I learned and how those forged my character, and the people that I was able to build relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all my best friends are wrestlers, and they're all my teammates and stuff like that. So that's what I appreciate. I appreciate the character that it was able to build, and all the hard work it took to get there, and how that molded me, and the people that now I'm closer with because we were in it together.
Isn't that insane, man? It's like everything that we're exposed to 24/7 is encouraging us to chase material possessions, like fame, material possessions, like sex, leisure, and none of those things are satisfying, even when you win a championship.
Yeah, you can just never get enough of it. If that's what if that's your treasure, like, you're never going to have enough. And I feel like everybody kind of has to, some people can maybe see that and learn that lesson. For me personally, like, I had to experience it, and I had to go through the highs and the lows to realize, like, I don't want to live my life on a roller coaster. Like, I want steady consistency in my identity, and the only place you're going to get that is in Christ. I truly believe that wholeheartedly. And when you put that emphasis on worldly things, it's only going to lead to destruction. And again, like I said, for me, that was just a life lesson. I would hope that if anybody listening could learn from that and not have to go through the hard things, because I don't want anybody to have to feel what I felt. Like, genuinely, it was really rough to go through that, and I'm grateful for it now. But if you can learn that lesson through another person, then that's even better, I think.
Yeah, we even saw some of that at Arc, I think, where if you can fail fast from one of those stages, and then you have to drop that off your mind. Like, we're all going to fail. We're failing every day, all the time.
Right.
But we can't ruminate on it, and we can't just ponder on it, because then it's going to affect everything in the future.
100%.
You gotta drop it. What's done is done.
Yeah.
And then get back in the present moment.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that just comes back to the focus. Of course, everybody wants to do well and win when you compete, but that doesn't really make you special. Like, that's in us all. Like, that's a worldly thing that doesn't make anybody unique. Like, I used to pride myself on, like, I'm the most competitive. Like, I'll win whatever it is, this and that, and I still feel that way. But I just feel like if you make that your personality, then you just have to, like, keep one-upping other people or yourself consistently. And it's like, man, you lose all the goodness of the pursuit and just chasing after something because you genuinely love it. And it becomes such a beautiful thing when, like, I feel God in his presence in training. I feel it when I'm getting ready to compete. I feel it after competition. I feel like when I get to be with my family and friends. And I think you either have to choose, like, am I going to focus on God in this moment and gratitude and the things that are coming from him, or am I going to focus on the worldly aspect of pride and winning and ego? So and that thing, it's going to give you that quick high of, I did it, yes, I'm the man, like, I'm number one, and then boom, you drop off. And there's only one place that I think you can truly find that consistency and that pure, just genuine love and gratitude.
That's amazing. I think that's the perfect way to close, Bo. I know they're packing meals for kids outside, and we'll get out and help those guys out.
Let's do it.
Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. What a phenomenal conversation with Bo. We talk about it every single week, but what is the golden nugget you can take away from today's episode? There is a lot to unpack in there, a lot to debrief. But by far, my favorite conversation point that we went through today is where Bo really unpacks how he changed his perspective, that his identity is not tied into winning. His identity is tied into being a good father and a good husband and following the Lord. That is so incredible for a guy of his stature with what he's doing in the UFC, for him to realize that at such a young age, that winning it all is not going to fill that hole in his heart. He really, really articulated that well, and that's what I want you guys to latch onto from this episode. Remember that our identity is not tied in our work, our identity is not tied in our accomplishments, and the way Bo articulated that was just phenomenal. Thanks for being here. We will continue to bring you inspiring guests every single week. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Mountain Tough Podcast. We'll see you next week.